Like I said, I literally don't know when I show up to a presentation, what I'm presenting, what the venue is going to be or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter to me. I usually just kind of say the same stuff every time, and then sometimes people ask some questions that are pretty neat. So if you have questions that are interesting, you want to ask them. So my name is Ian Walsh. I am hardmoneybankers.com. It's my company. Some people have seen me, some people haven't. When I bump into these meetings, I do a lot of social media marketing. That's why we're doing that's why Jeremy's here and so forth. So are you guys familiar with hard money? I'm sure you're in the business, so you know hard money. Anybody not?
They don't know.
Okay, cool. So hard money is typically for your investors. I'm in the investment game. My background is I got into investing 10 years ago. I was a wholesaler. Familiar with that term? No? Yes.
No.
Okay, cool. So wholesaling is when you're actually basically a realtor without a license. That's the way to put it. Kind of. Really what you're doing is you're getting an agreement of sale under contract, and then you know that you have an end buyer that'll pay, say, 5, 10 grand more. Nowadays, it's like people are wholesaling for 40 to 50 grand to an end buyer, and I have the rights to the contract. I have to close it in 30 days, and then the end buyer shows up, and let's say I have a project under contract for 30 grand, and then they want to buy it for 50 grand. There's 20,000 in between. I would get that $20,000 assignment fee. That's what it's called. That's how I got started in this business 10 years ago, because I didn't have any money. I was fresh out of school, and it was like, I don't know how you do real estate investing, right? So I learned it, understood it, and then we built that business, and we were doing quite a few transactions every year, myself and a partner. Honestly, though, as you guys probably know, if you're realtors or whatever business you're in, it doesn't really matter. We're actually not in the business of real estate. We're in the business of marketing, all of us, right? So it doesn't matter how good you are or what you do. It only matters when you get that phone to ring, period, right? So on cue. So so what I had to learn very quickly from the wholesaling perspective was, okay, how do you market? How do you get in front of people? If I know how to do a deal, which wasn't very difficult, how do I repeat that? How do I repeat that over and over again? And then it just turned into the other businesses that we built. So we wholesaled, myself and my partner, for probably about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. We did several hundred transactions in that time. And we've also learned it's a very volatile business. So meaning like you can have huge transactions in a 2-month period, but if you're marketing at all times, you're spending $20,000, $30,000 a month easy on marketing. It's great when you're having closings, but when you don't have a few closings, like, if you're in real estate, how there's cycles. Well, it's hard to then stomach 2 or 3 months where you have to go ahead and, put up a marketing check for 20 or 30 grand a month, and then you got to wait for more closings. It was volatile. We were younger, it was fine. As you start to want to put your bank account together, it gets a little bit tricky. So we actually started a property management company. It was Atlas Property Management. It was in the Northeast Philadelphia is where it was based. Managed up to about 700 properties, and then we sold that to TCS Investments, which is, you asked me where I'm in Philadelphia. I'm typically in Old City, Philadelphia. So we were bought out, and I retained some shares of that by an individual down there. And today, Atlas then became, it was bought by TCS Investments, and they do quite a bit of property management. So how does that come into hard money? That's my background. I'm actually not a banker. I don't even wear a button-down shirt. I usually have a sweatshirt on and some jeans. Like I'm an investor first. I'm different from hard money because what happened was that we had sold our management company, and I had 2 silent partners that were already lending in Maryland. And I said, hey, what am I going to do now? Got nothing to do. So I said, I'm going to deploy some capital up here. So we said, sure. So then we took the money and we brought it up here. And the reason I knew how to do that was because I was an investor from about 8 years ago. I knew how to find an investment property. I knew what it was worth. I really knew how to underwrite it. And now what I do is I deploy private capital for in the investment market in Eastern PA, South Jersey, Delaware is really my realm. Most of our clients are like fix and flip clients. I also have like cash out refinances. So somebody goes in, they buy a house for say 200 grand. They want to pull money out of that. If I like the deal, I'll extract money out of it for them. It always has to be for an investment purpose. I can't do anything if you're an owner-occupied house. If you live in your house and you want to take out money on it, I can't touch it. Private money, I'm not a bank, is specifically designated with commercial-based lending, it's called. So versus like consumer-based, which would be if you live in your house, then that's consumer-based. So where do I come in? Most investors will call me when they're trying to buy a fix and flip. You're going to buy the house that you have to renovate, and then I'm going to come in, I'm going to lend against it, and you're going to end up doing, your company will do the renovations. So what happens is a lot of times people are like, hey, I got to close in a week, right? Anybody here bought an investment property ever? Yes, no? Okay. So the really good ones are typically not going to wait around for you. They're not going to let you close in 90 days. It's just not going to happen, right? They're going to say, I want cash offers, I want hard money, and I want it in 2 weeks or close in a week. And real hard money, real true hard money can do that. Where you run into kind of designations in our world are there's a couple other companies out there right now, and they use institutional backing, meaning they basically are using a bank, because you're avoiding a bank, right? You're avoiding going in and giving your W-2s and your tax returns and all that fancy stuff that you didn't want to give to begin with, because you said, I got a good deal and I need to buy it fast. Will you lend me money based on the deal, not based on my DNA, and my social security and all that. So there are some other companies that get their financial backing from banks, and you'll know immediately when they start asking you for that kind of stuff. When they ask you for your W-2s and tax returns, you go, wait, I think you're supposed to close in 5 days, and you're telling me you can't close in 3 weeks and 4 weeks. You're like, why didn't you walk into a bank? People come to me because they go, I need to close tomorrow morning. We literally close deals in under 24 hours because I look at the deal, I know what it's worth from investing, and I go, here's my position on it. If you want to wire $300,000 to your account tomorrow or to the title company tomorrow, fine. Very rarely do they have to close in 24 hours, but it's, probably like 10 days, 10 to 14 days is a pretty common timeline for what I close. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes not. But that's why people use hard money. They use it for speed. They use it for ease. It's short-term money too. I don't do like 30-year notes or anything like that. It's 1 year. So you flip that money and you sell the house, or you refinance it back out. So it's all short-term cash. It's very liquid. It's very easy money to use. So then the next question is, how much does it cost? It's so easy, right? It's hard money, right? So I guess somewhere probably back in the 50s. Is it just a guess? Because I get this nowadays, like the mafia must have started it or something. Everybody has asked me if I'm connected. I'm like, no, but I'm getting more. And there are some guys in the business that probably will break your fingers if you don't pay them. It's not me. It's not my company. I will take your house, but I'm not going to break your fingers. So what happens is our money is short term. So the key is speed on your end. It's your investor's end that makes the difference. So our money is going to run 1.17% a month for up to 12 months on average. Sometimes as low as like 1.1, very rarely at 1 point a month. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not. Because what you're going to find is most hard money companies in the area are going to be somewhere between, they call it 12 to 16% a year. You're like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. Short-term capital, it's really not. And the reality is, you really shouldn't price shop in this business so much as you should figure out the lender you want to work with, because let's say you're on have you ever dealt with a hard money lender before?
No.
Never dealt with one? Never had any clients?
You mean my clients have, not me.
Okay. So when they're usually on a draw schedule, right? So what that means is, so you come in, you go, hey, this is going to take $60,000 to renovate this whole house. Okay, great. Well, I'm not going to just give you a closing. I'll allocate the money for construction, but I'm not going to just give you $60,000 at closing, because if I give you the purchase price plus the $60,000 and my valuation is based on a fixed up property, if you just take that $60,000 and run, I just went out $110,000. I'm in trouble. Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing is then I'm saying I want my final position on a property to say be $110,000. But if today we're at 50 day one and you have $60,000 to gap for construction, I want to see the process going along, and then when we're at 110, I'm all in. The house is renovated. So we do a draw schedule for construction. What happens there is you would submit a draw schedule that says, hey, first phase one is demo, $10,000. Then we're going to do kitchens and bathrooms, $10,000, roof, $10,000, whatever. So each phase that goes out, you have an inspector that comes out, looks at the property, and then wires the money in pending completion. So if you're dealing with a company, if you're price shopping in our world, which really is where I can tell when people really aren't terribly sophisticated with what they do when they call us, is because if my company's fast, and we are the fastest easily in the area, but if you order a draw schedule, and the draw process from company, not my company, is you submit 2 weeks in advance. When we come out, if everything's not done, we're not paying you, and then you have another 2 weeks to submit again. Now it's 4 weeks out, right? 4 weeks if you mess up. That's an entire point, right? Mm-hmm. So if you said, I want to get 12% money and you're 13% money, well, you just gave up the point due to the draw schedule because you just made an extra payment on that month. Mm-hmm. So the trick to our business is speed on your end. That's it. So the faster you're in and out of the money, the cheaper it is. Most of my flippers, we do we deploy like 30 to 40 million right now a year in our markets. So it's like probably like 300 deals. Most of those flippers are in and out in like 5 to 7 months. When it's all said and done, they're probably paying 10 or 11. What's that?
So I thought that's pretty long, but 5 to 7 months.
Sale to sale, from the moment you buy it to the moment you renovate it to the moment you have a realtor that's got to resell it, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. 5 to 7 months, but okay.
Yeah, that's average. Some are shorter, some are longer, but the size of the project matters too.
Right. Yeah.
So, but all things considered, your speed is the most important thing with our money. So if you're slow, it's going to cost you more, whether you're my money or somebody else's. If you're fast, you're not going to care because you're in. You just want to make sure you get your money fast. And the key to that draw schedule and the ease of use working with the company you're working with is really important. And we really focus on that with our clients to make sure that we're easy to work with. If I see a deal I like, I'll tell you two things. Most people just email me. I don't overcomplicate it. I don't have long conversations on the phone. I know right away, every flipper out there is a variation of another flipper in personality, in ability. Like, I probably already had that call 100 times that I'm having with you, so I can tell very quickly if you're telling me a story, if you're lying, if you're trying to sell me. I'm like, I look at 100 comps a day, easy. So I know what the values are. So when somebody's trying to sell me, I know what they're trying to do and all that kind of stuff. I usually just say, send me the address, the renovation cost that it's going to cost, and the price you're buying it at. Without a conversation, I can tell you immediately where I'm going to be, because it's going to tell me a lot. There's a lot of reading in the numbers. So somebody comes to me and goes, I'm going to renovate this house. I don't know. You said Huntington Valley. So you get a lot of 4-bed, 2-bath, 2,500 square foot houses, right? That kind of stuff. Average renovation costs probably 45 to 60 grand to do it, right? Just a ballpark, right? So problem is when somebody comes to me and says, I have this great deal in Huntington Valley. I'm going to buy it for, say, 200 grand. I know they're only going to resell it for like 260. Okay, so now I'm like, that doesn't sound good. The second thing they say is it's going to take $20,000 in renovations. And I'm like, you can't get through the front door for 20 grand. So those two things right away say two things to me. Either you're highly inexperienced, which is okay. I work with first-time borrowers all the time. But it really just means you didn't do your due diligence. You went on to Zillow, you hoped for the best, and they said, your estimate is this, right? That's what they did. That's what they did. You're going to ask somebody for $200,000, real money, you better do a little bit more research. What I do like to see in the numbers is like, when somebody comes in and it could be their very first deal, but I know that they're like, hey, I know this area well, I've been studying it a long time, and I can get a deal at this number. I know this is a good deal. And then all of a sudden I look at it and go, yeah, you can get it you're about 30 cents on the dollar for the renovated cost. That's good. They come in, they go, it's probably going to be like 50 to 55,000 in renovations. I'm like, yeah, it lines up, looks good. I don't care that you're new. It means that you did your research. It means you're going to take care of the money when it's in your hands. So all those things you can tell them just by a few numbers, but we do like to keep it quick. And if things don't add up, I just say, hey, pass, let's go to the next one. And I have people every week, they just send me, most of my big clients, what they do is they use me in two capacities. They'll use me for, money, but they also use me for because I see so many comps, I know the values, they really know my values and where things go wrong. They'll use me as a backboard. So I have some really experienced investors. They're like, hey, what do you, these are my numbers. What do you think? And I'll throw numbers back at them, and they realize if you're bringing a lot of cash to the table to close, that's my way of saying, hey, I think I see something you don't see. I'm not taking the chance. If you want to take it, you can take it. And they just usually what they do is they just put those aside, and then they'll come in and they'll, when we do line up, it's usually like 15 to 25% maybe cash to close. So $100,000 is pretty common to see like 20 grand at the table, something like that. If you're bringing like 50 or 60 grand on a $100,000 deal, I'm saying to you like red flags all over my screen. So I don't know what you're seeing, and that's okay. I'm not always right. I just can't be wrong. I would say I can't be on the wrong side of wrong. So that's my job. And that's really how hard money works. It's fast money. This market's hot right now, closer to a top than a bottom. So people ask me that question a lot. Anybody have any questions? There you go.
So does the percentage rate fluctuate every month?
No. No, you're going to find with hard money, it's typical. So you're going to lock in for a 1-year rate, and that's your rate. And it's not going to fluctuate by much. Like if you have like a 800 credit score and somebody else has a 500, that's not going to impact whether you're going to get 12% or 13%. It's just going to be, this is our rate as a company, and that's it. Whether it's us or any other company, it's not like a bank where you're like 800, really strong borrower, we can get like half a point lower or something like that. It doesn't typically work that way.
So how do you determine what that rate is going to be? Is it per deal? Depends on the deal.
I just know I have like one rate for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Everybody gets one rate. Yeah, so
Okay.
we just keep it simple. Everybody's this rate.
Okay.
And there's times after I've done like quite a handful of deals with somebody that like I'm like, but they don't really usually care that much because they realize if they're fast, it doesn't really matter. You're literally talking about the difference between a couple $100
Right.
from another company. Like it's almost negligible to like worry about it. Sometimes though, maybe a little bit, but 99% of the deals are done in one rate.
Are there any fees?
Sure. Yeah. So you're gonna they call them junk fees in my world. So junk fees you're gonna see vary from company to company. So one company might say, hey, we're 10%, but there is a $5,000 funding fee. And you're like, wait a minute, if I break that down, you're actually, so they call them junk fees. Ours are pretty minimal. We have an origination fee, which is the cost to trigger the money. It's typically $1,000. And then not really a junk fee so much, which is the attorney's doc prep. So the attorneys actually prep the docs for us, very specific docs that they charge $750. That's just the pass through. But you can see a bunch of different things. One thing I would recommend, know if you're dealing with a direct lender versus a broker. So in our world, I know a broker in real estate is, are you a broker?
I know the difference between a broker.
Yeah. So as an agent, the broker is like oversees everybody, right? The other way around in what we do. So a direct lender is the one calling the shots. We're considered direct lender. It's like, hey, we'll put our money here. A broker, and I love brokers, but they're not.
They shop everybody.
They shop it around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with that, though, is that they commit to you. Or a lot of times I get people who call me and go, hey, I just gave this broker like a $2,000 fee. They said they're going to fund my deal. And I'm like, so you don't really give money up front. Not something you really want to get into in this business. And unless the broker says, hey, I'm very confident in this deal. Unless you know the broker, I wouldn't do that.
So the it's the percentage for 1 year, or is there an early termination? Is there an early fee if you sell the property within 3 or 4 months?
No, we don't penalize. 3 or 4 weeks?
No, 3 or 4 months.
So we just ask that the money stays open for 3 months. I don't
so
penalize
that's your
you.
requirement is 3 months.
Yeah, like first one, if you get out.
$1,800 in junk fees, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 3 months would be, depends on the borrower, but sometimes I'm like, don't do that again. Like if they want to close it out in 3 months, so be it. Sometimes I'll just say make 3 months
Well, I
worth
mean,
of
you're
payments.
obviously in the business to make money on the percentage, so
Yeah.
that's why I asked, because.
But I don't like spoil a relationship if it
Yeah.
makes sense. Like I get it, you sold the property, just I asked that but yeah, so it's fine. But yeah,
The other question I have are, what are your requirements as far as what are your minimum and maximums for lending?
I mean, we could do a loan of any size. I mean, we do 30 or 40 million a year, and we could easily do 100 million if there's enough deals.
Okay.
So
what's the lowest you'll go?
I'll do a loan of any size as long as the resale value, the flip value, or the renovated value is 120,000 or higher. I don't really want to get into areas that are like 60,000 renovated and stuff. It's just
Okay.
I can give you a long explanation or a short answer to that, but
No,
there's a reason. Yeah,
I get it.
you can make a lot of money in those areas, but they're not great for lenders. So minimum requirements. There's no I've done deals with 500 credit scores and 800 credit scores. No credit scores. IRA. I just had an email somebody with an IRA that wanted to lend out of their IRA. Fine, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll change my criteria. Like I have different risk associated with certain things. So like an IRA becomes a non-recourse loan. So I'm going to reduce my amount of loan size. You're going to bring more cash to offset my risk. But if it's a good deal, I'll find a way. I will.
Mm-hmm.
A good deal, I will beat to death until we get a way to fund it. There's just not a lot of great deals. People think that everybody thinks they have a great deal. I probably see 30 a day and say no to 29.
Yeah, I get it. I've been doing it for a long time. But for investors, especially now, there's not a ton out there.
That market's thin right now.
Yeah,
it's thin. And everybody's overpaying at the moment. But,
yeah.
cycle will come and then changes again.
So no requirements.
No collateral.
Collateral is the house. The property itself, we put a first lien position against it. Yeah. Sometimes if you're an experienced investor and you have some properties, a lot of times I have investors that'll have maybe like 3 or 4 properties they bought cash at some point, and then I can use those to offset cash at closing. So people are always like, hey, I want 100% financing, and I'm like, it doesn't exist beyond 2008, but 100% meaning no money down. So, where you can do no money down is if you have other properties free and clear. To a lender, it's the same thing as saying, hey, that's cash. And you don't care because you haven't tapped into that in years. And so what we do is we place a lien position against both properties. And let's say you needed 30 grand cash to close, and that property's, worth 100 or whatever. To me, that was plenty of collateral. To you, you don't care because you didn't put any money out of your bank account. And that's how you kind of get into no money down scenarios nowadays. Not for everybody, but it sometimes works.
The junk fees, are they due up front or they do at the
on the HUD on settlement? Yeah, I don't charge it.
No other fees?
The only thing I would charge up front, I will charge up front, is so we have somebody go out and do an evaluation or like a pseudo appraisal. I don't actually do appraisals, but I want to make sure, like, what I'm actually doing is sending somebody to make sure that I'm not getting scammed. Mm-hmm. So if you go, hey, there's this great house and everything looks good, and I go and all of a sudden there's no house there. It would be a bad loan, so they're really going to check it out, inspect it, make sure it's as stated. So that he would charge $400 to do that. So you get another $400.
So you got $400 up front, and then some junk fees at the end on top of your interest every month.
Yeah, and we're the cheapest game in town for
that's
in that capacity.
not bad.
Yeah, you see a lot of different things. I've seen some guys, come out of the gates. First of all, I don't know how guys are. I mean, it's a totally different conversation, but the lenders right now are charging very, very little money. There's no. You have to charge something to make money in this game, or else you're going to get eaten up. So a lot of times what they do, though, is they'll put massive junk fees on there. So you're like, oh, I got locked in at a great rate, and then you're like, I just paid twice that amount on junk fees.
The difference. All right, so we're talking house flipping. What about buy and hold?
So because we're only 1 year notes.
I'm talking, buy something, fix it up, put a renter in it, let it mature for 6 months,
and then refi.
Pay you out, and what's the deal with that?
Same thing, same exact thing. A lot of people that do that. The only sticking point is typically getting over that 120,000 renovated value threshold.
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of the rentals.
Cash flow places, right?
Yeah.
So, but I do have certain clients that certainly use that method. Yeah.
So the 120,000 threshold is just for your security as far as if they default on the loan.
So the 120,000 is the renovated value, and the reason that is because I want to be in FHA and up areas. I don't want to be in areas that are more dominated by tenants, because when they're more dominated by tenants, it means that you're typically going to have more investors in that area. Meaning, if I have to take a house back, the reality is it's going to be taken back and resold, not at the renovated value. It's going to be an investor coming in, getting it at the same price they paid the last time, and the whole construction budget went out the door. So that 120,000 and higher keeps you in that FHA market.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that's why we kind of look at that. And it's easy. We don't. So you guys are talking about ground up. So ground up is tricky. We don't do ground. And your aunt shouldn't have done ground, but she did, right? So yeah, we don't do land
development or anything like that.
No. So you got to bring it up to roof frame. And the reason being is because it's not because I don't like land. And there have been some scenarios that I have done land, but they're really, really, really pricey and really good rates. In terms of like the value to how much I was lending. But the land is tricky because as a lender, if you go out tomorrow, you have a piece of land that you want to develop this property on, and you get hit by a bus tomorrow morning, we close, and now I got a piece of land I got to deal with.
You're taking it through the development process of that.
I'm definitely not doing that, but what I'm doing, or I'm calling you.
Or you don't want to do that.
Yeah, but what I have to do is I got to foreclose on it, and then I got to sell it. Who's buying it? Other guys that do ground up only. So when I'm dealing with a roof and frame, any mother and their brother and their flipper, they come in and get it. So it's easy for us to get out of that. Land is like a few developers that'll take that ground up, because the ground up is way different than a framed house. So it's riskier for a lender. A lot of hard money lenders won't touch it, and ones that do, or God bless them.
Yeah, they take a lot of risk.
It's a lot of risk, a lot more risk than I want to take. Yeah, and that's.
What's the process for submitting a deal?
Honestly, the easiest way, so my email is IAN, just my first name, at hardmoneybankers.com. Just email that and go, just address, construction numbers, and how much you're buying for. If that's all the email has, I will have an answer for you, usually within an hour, sometimes later that day. That's it. Or you can go to the website and fill out an application, and it'll come back to me anyway. So.
He said, could you repeat that?
Yeah. So you just email it to me. My email is Ian, IAN, at hardmoneybankers with an S.com. And then I just need the address, the renovation costs, and the price you're paying for the property. Is that your question too?
The website.
Hardmoneybankers.com is our website. Yeah. And that's it. If we like the deal, we'll do it. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. I'll let Jeremy shut it down, and I'll grab my card.